Okay, it is your turn. You may scroll down to listen to or read the selection on your own. Then you're going to choose the best answer to each question. Boys and girls, please make sure that you record the title, which is hurricanes, and it's that time of year, in your text entry box along with your 6 answer choices. Text number 1, hurricanes. It says, read the next 2 selections, then choose the best answer to each question. Selection 1 is titled Hurricanes. Tropical cyclone is a term for a storm that has formed over tropical waters. A tropical cyclone brings thunderstorms and winds blowing in a counterclockwise direction. Until a cyclone's winds reach 39 miles per hour, it is called a tropical depression. Then, once the winds reach 39 miles per hour, the cyclone is called a tropical storm. In certain parts of the world, the term hurricane is used to describe a strong tropical cyclone with winds blowing over 74 miles per hour. In other parts of the world, these strong storms are called typhoons or severe tropical cyclones. Once a tropical cyclone becomes strong enough to be categorized as a tropical storm, it is given a name. The first tropical storm of each year is given a name that starts with the letter A. Each storm that follows begins with the next letter of the alphabet. Although hurricanes can form during any time of the year, they are more common in some months. Hurricane season in the Atlantic lasts from June 1st to November 30th. During these months, the air movements over the Atlantic are more likely to create hurricanes than at other times of the year. When hurricanes hit land, they cause great damage. Their high winds destroy buildings and homes and rip trees from the ground. Coastal areas are at risk for flooding when a hurricane's strong winds push large amounts of water towards the shore. In addition, hurricanes can produce tornadoes. People can take the following steps to protect themselves. Cover their windows with wood boards, trim the trees in their yards, clean out their storm drains and gutters, and have an emergency plan in place. Selection number 2. It's that time of year. A few days ago, when Mom, Joe, and I were watching the evening news, we heard that a storm was forming off the Gulf Coast. The next night, we heard that its winds had picked up and it was now considered a hurricane. We also heard that it might make landfall in less than 3 days. Since then, we've been keeping a close eye on it. We heard last night that by late tomorrow, the hurricane will probably make landfall less than 100 miles north of our town on the Texas coast. The news reporters have recommended that people in communities along the Texas coast make the usual preparations to protect themselves and their homes. It seems like these storms arrive every year about this time. However, this year is a little different for me. When we first moved to this area, I got really scared every time I heard about a hurricane forming in the Gulf. And it was so odd to me to see every place in town all boarded up and the streets emptied. I also would get frustrated because many times my family would spend a lot of time getting prepared and then nothing would happen. But as they say, it's better to be safe than sorry. This year, I'm a little more used to seeing the town shut down. Also, we spent a whole weekend in the spring preparing for hurricane season. The idea was that we would save ourselves from rushing around every time we heard about a storm coming. Dad cut boards for the windows and trimmed the trees in our yard. Joe and I cleared the gutters so they would drain better. The whole family also spent an evening writing out an emergency plan. Today, we had the opportunity to see if our preparations paid off, and they did. After hearing the update about the storm last night, we put the boards into place and picked up loose articles laying around on the ground. The sky has darkened, the wind has picked up, and the rain has started outside. But I don't feel worried because I know we have a plan. Next is your question set. Question number 1 reads, what do these two selections have in common? Now, I'm sure you recognize that these are two different genres, right? Two different types of text. So, we want to know, what do the two selections have in common? A, both discuss tropical storms and how they are classified. B, both of them explain how hurricanes are formed. C, both of them explain that there is a yearly hurricane season. Or D, both describe the destruction that hurricanes can cause. Remember, boys and girls, good readers always go back and reread. Number 2. One similarity, meaning how they are alike, between these two selections is that both of them include the idea that F, the hurricanes are also called typhoons. G, a hurricane is a type of tropical cyclone. H, flooding can affect inland areas. Or J, preparing for a hurricane is important. So again, you want to think about what idea was presented in both of these selections, okay? Number 3. What is one way the two selections are different? A, the first selection is more informal than the second. B, the first selection is more formal than the second, meaning more technical. It sounds like someone who's an expert wrote it, like there's research that's been done, okay? That's formal. C, the first selection is more personal than the second one. Or D, the first selection is more humorous. Now remember, always eliminate what you know is not correct, okay? Use your elimination strategies. Number 4. Which statement best expresses a common theme? Remember, the theme is the life lesson that you can take away from the text, okay? So which statement best expresses a common theme that is shared by both selections? Meaning after you've read both of them, they're both kind of giving you the same lesson. It's like, hey, this is what I really want you to learn from what I'm telling you. Based on all of the information that I'm giving you, this is the lesson that I want you to learn. F, you can't control the forces of nature, but you can at least be prepared to face them. G, knowing the facts about a situation takes the worry out of it. H, a positive side of any problem is that people can work together to face it. Or J, you never know what the future will bring, so you shouldn't worry about it. All right, let's look at number 5 and 6. Number 5, what is one difference in the organization of the selections? Now, we talked about organizational patterns yesterday, meaning how is the information written or presented on the page? Did the writer present the information by a description, compare and contrasting, offering a problem and solution, sharing cause and effect, or did they share the information in a sequence type of pattern? Okay, So think about these two. It says, what is one difference in the organization of the selections? A, the author of the first selection uses the paragraphs, and the author of the second selection does not. B, the author of the first selection uses questions, and then the author of the second selection does not. C, the author of the first selection uses a bulleted list, and the author of the second selection does not. Or D, the author of the first selection uses a series of events, and then the author of the second selection does not. Go back and look at how the information was presented, okay? What is a difference between the two? Number 6, what is one way the two selections are different? F, the first selection is an informational article, whereas the second is a personal account or someone sharing with you something that happened to them. G, the first selection is based on fact, whereas the second only gives opinions. H, the first selection gives facts about hurricanes, whereas the second does not. Or J, the first selection describes one hurricane, whereas the second selection describes many. So again, boys and girls, please make sure that you go back and you reread, okay? Make sure that you're understanding what the question is asking you. And don't be shy to revisit the text as much as you need to, but be sure that you pace yourself.